The Lost Mermaid-Chapter 30. My face brightened as I rushed out the door to the truck and hopped in the passenger seat. "Scoot over," he said, gesturing towards the driver's seat. "What?" But I thought, "You get to drive." There was a twinkle in his eye. I jerked back, then slid over to the driver's side quickly. Finally, I was going to drive. I clapped my hands together in excitement. "Yes, sis. Thank you, Dad." He gave me the key, and I brought the truck to life. I was ready to hit the road. "So where are we going?" I asked. "You choose," he said. "I need to be back in an hour or two for the cows." He nodded and smiled. Warmth spread through me as I realized my dad wanted to be with me. I was grateful he was willing to teach me to drive so I could become independent. Despite the conflicts we had experienced in the past, his effort was not lost on me, and I felt grateful for his gesture. At that moment, a feeling of warmth and hope washed over me, both for our relationship and for my future. I wish we could drive to Patrick's Point, but it's too far. How about we go to Dacia's house? Do you think the roads are clear? To the Cardoza Ranch? He asked. I reckon. I maneuvered the truck onto the road, my hands tightly gripping the steering wheel as I tried my best to follow Dad's tips on how to drive safely. Every few seconds, he would offer words of advice, cautioning me to be easy on the pedal, or don't turn too sharp. I shook my head and smiled. At least he was letting me drive. I knew his constant words were just his way of showing he cared and wanted us to be safe. Eventually, his grip on the armrest eased up, and I knew he was starting to trust me on the road. "So, is the ocean your favorite place?" Dad asked. "Pretty much," I said. "I'm sad we won't see Emerald or Heather for a while." True. When we got to Dacia's, I jumped out and ran up to her house to knock on the door. I asked, "Hey, Dacia, do you want to go for a drive? Are you sure it's safe?" I frowned at her and she laughed. "Just kidding. Sure I do." She hopped in the vehicle, where I accidentally peeled out as we jerked over the gravel drive. Dad took it in stride. Dacia laughed as we bumped and bounced along the old washboard roads. I wanted to impress her, but my driving skills were more a test of her character than a relaxing experience. Pretty soon, we looped back to her house and I dropped her off. "J-Quay Dacia. What does that mean?" she asked. "It's how they say goodbye in Mermish." "In mermaid language?" Laughing, I said, "You wouldn't believe it. But that's how merfolk say yes. I loved sharing my mermaid world with her. It was such a fun thing to say, and it brought me so much joy." "Wow, that's awesome." Waving back as well, she said, "J-Quay." I drove away from her house and continued down the road. "Can we drive up to the redwoods, real quick?" "Sure," Dad replied. Approaching the towering redwoods was a breathtaking sight, with their trunks draped in moss and surrounded by ferns. As I drove, the sun's golden rays illuminated everything around us, adding to the beauty of the scene. "Julie, there's something I need to say to you," Dad said. "Okay," I said, glancing at him as I kept my eyes on the road ahead. "I know I've been tough on you. A few months ago, I slapped you. I am truly sorry for my actions. Will you please forgive me?" he asked, his tone serious. Without a moment's hesitation, I responded, "Of course, Dad." For a while, silence reigned between us. Then my dad spoke again, sounding surprised. "I'm amazed you're forgiving me so quickly." He seemed to want a response. I took a moment to gather my thoughts before answering. I've always believed that forgiveness is one of the important tests of life. I pause. Who would I rather forgive than you? "I love you, Dad." As I said those words, a weight lifted off my shoulders. "I love you too, Jules," he said. We continued driving in silence, basking in the beauty of the moment. As we got closer to home, Dad broke the silence. "So, Jared?" He looked knowingly at me. I blushed, feeling the heat rise in my cheeks. Dad, I groaned. He's a good boy, Dad said. I'm glad you didn't go for that James, or whatever. Jason, I corrected. Jason Jackson. And you're right, he's not my type. Jared, though, he's brave and strong, and he likes me for who I am. Good, Dad huffed. Dad wasn't really great at boy talk, but at least he was trying, which was all that really mattered. Finally, we drove down our road. I saw Jared walking down our lane, so I pulled over. Hey there, I said. Jared replied, Look who's driving. Oh, just the usual. He smiled. Hello, Mr. Johansson. Hello, son. Dad nodded. Julie, I was wondering if you wanted to go for a walk? Sure. Dad, can you take it from here? I reckon. Dad teased. Are you sure you'll be back tonight? Jared laughed. Sir, I can see why you'd be worried, but she'll definitely be back tonight. Good, Dad said. As the sun began to set, we sat together and watched the reflection in the pond as the sky transformed into a stunning canvas of oranges and pinks. Jared took my hand and gazed into my eyes. He took a deep breath and said, Julie, I want you to know how I feel about you. I tilted my head up to look into his warm brown eyes as his sandy blonde hair blew in the breeze. He brushed my cheek with his hand and said, I really like you. I felt my cheeks flush as I dropped my gaze. Jared had been in the back of my mind ever since I came home, and now he was confessing his feelings for me. After thinking a minute, I looked back up at him and softly said, Jared, you're a good guy. I like you too. He gave me a huge grin. You do? But I thought you liked Jason. Effed. Jason's a dirtbag. You're the guy who's always been there for me. I never realized it until now. I smiled sweetly. Jared stood up and pulled me into his embrace, enveloping me in a cocoon of warmth and safety. With my eyes closed, I exhaled deeply, feeling completely at ease in his arms. Although I had always had feelings for him, I never allowed myself to fully acknowledge them. His sturdy chest and strong arms made me feel safe and secure, like I was finally home. I tilted my head up to feel his warm breath against my skin, and to my surprise, he leaned down to kiss me gently on the lips. It was my first kiss, and it was soft, tender, and utterly wonderful. As much as I wished for that moment to never end, Jared and I eventually parted. He took my hand in his, and his grip made me feel as though I was still in his embrace. All I had ever wanted was someone who truly cared for me, and he had been there all along. I couldn't believe how much had happened in such a short time. I knew this summer would be unforgettable, and I couldn't wait for fall when the mermaids would return.